Good morning and welcome to worship with the Unitarian Universalist community of Charlotte. I'm Eve Stevens. My pronouns are she, hers, and I'm one of the ministers of this community. Over the past 2 months, our children have joined the adults in our community exploring our summer theme, Roots Hold Me Close. Each week on our congregational grounds on the tire swing playground, for those of you who are familiar or who will be someday, our kids gather on the tire swing playground and our fabulous volunteer Sunday teachers sit with the kids in a circle of yoga mats. They light the chalice, symbol of our Unitarian Universalist faith, hear a story, and share in a lesson. And week by week, the kids have been learning more about what the roots of a tree do for the tree. And I am confident that at this point in the summer, even our 3-year-olds could tell you what tree roots do. They feed and water the tree. They keep the tree grounded when there's strong wind or storms. And they connect the tree with the other trees around it for additional nutrients and supports. And simultaneously, we've been asking our kids, okay, so we know what tree roots do, so what roots us? What feeds and nourishes us? What helps us stay grounded when life is hard? What does it mean to share in community with others? And they've explored their answers to these questions while planting licorice roots in cookie dust soil, stringing together prayer beads and learning grounding spiritual practices, and painting a communal mural. And here is one of my favorite images that we've used with the kids this summer. It's a poster. Picture of a tree, and where the roots are, you will find the 7 principles of Unitarian Universalism in simplified language written by kids. And I doubt you can read them, so I'll just share. As Unitarian Universalists, we respect all people, offer fair and kind treatment to all, yearn to go on learning. We grow by exploring ideas and values. We believe in ideas and, more importantly, act on them. We insist on a fair and peaceful world. We value our connection to all life and nature. So as we've explored that image, we've also explored how our shared principles, our shared values, feed our spirits and help us live more vibrant lives, how they help us stay grounded and strong and true to what we believe when life is hard or when the struggle is long. And they connect us with one another, intertwining our lives into spiritual community. Today, we get to hear from 3 adults in our community who have been doing this same soul searching and work that our kids have been doing. We get to hear from Jim Lay, Alex Creech, and David Flynn sharing from their hearts about what roots them and to what their lives are committed. If you are watching this service at 9:30 a.m. on August 22nd, you are welcome to join us in person at 11 a.m. to sing together and enjoy music and community while our children continue learning and playing on the playground. For now, I invite you to enjoy some virtual community by heading over to our public Facebook page where you can greet one another underneath today's welcome post. Welcome.
Hi, I'm David Flynn.
And I'm Debbie Rubenstein. Welcome to the Chaplain.
If you light a lamp for someone else, it will also brighten your path. Nichiren Daishonin.
Over the past 17 months, the most challenging time of most of our lives, I am very grateful for the roots my life have been anchored with. I have spent most of the first half of my life really needing a root system, something I could depend on to hold me firm and keep me safe during hard times, and to draw strength from when I was weak and discouraged. My father was a career Army officer. I was born at the beginning of his military service and was 2 years into college when he retired. We moved over 20 times since I was born. The very nature of our nomadic existence prevented us from putting down any meaningful roots. As a child, it prevented me from developing long-term friendships, having any consistency in my education, and any hope of keeping in touch with my extended family of grandparents, aunts, uncles, and cousins. My childhood was a blur of new neighborhoods, schools where I was forever the new kid, moving vans, and really being pretty lonely. I stumbled through college, married my first wife upon graduation, and took my first job teaching junior high school for 5 years here in Charlotte. I left teaching to start a 35-year career in the insurance industry. We had 2 wonderful sons, but our marriage was in trouble due to differing spiritual beliefs. After 13 years, we separated, and here I was, 40 years old, and starting over. Never having developed the concept of a root system to keep me safely moored during rough times, I started to drink and party, thinking my newfound friends would be the answer to my loneliness and sadness. That went on for almost 2 years. In January of '94, I decided I needed to stop drinking. Suddenly, my friends didn't want much to do with my sober self. My son's best friend's mom was a member of UUCC, and she encouraged me to stop by some Sunday. I attended several services, liked what I experienced, and joined in May of '94. In November of '94, a mutual friend introduced me to her friend, Sheila Kaufman, who also had 2 school-age children, and we started dating, marrying a year later. 1994 was the year I began putting down roots. It was my year of reckoning, my year to decide to grow up and to make something important and vital with the rest of my life. Over the next 25 years, our blended family of 6 weathered difficult times, financial and medical challenges, and personal and family losses. We also learned to laugh together and at each other, enjoying each other's company, and to go on family camping trips. Our house was becoming a home. Our UUCC family gave us consistency, support, validation, and most of all, a safe harbor to put down roots. At first, I was hesitant to become more involved in UUCC other than attend Sunday services. Having had a disastrous experience at a fundamentalist church, I was very wary investing myself in a deeper way. At first, I was on the openers and closers, that only required minimal involvement, but I found a lot of satisfaction in ensuring the safety of our building before and after services. That led to many other leadership and service opportunities, including being on the building and grounds team, the finance team, the board of trustees, the stewardship team, being part of our music program, and going on habitat trips to Hartsville, each time letting me put my roots deeper into the fabric of our community. Roots not only keep you grounded and anchored to the earth, they also provide nutrients to the family tree we had become. Nutrients such as friendship, laughter, music, travel, and time with family all became essential. The roots that UUCC provided were the foundation to our family and allowed us not only to survive life's difficulties and challenges, it encouraged us to grow and nurture the beautiful tree that is our family, rising above the roots that held us and nurtured us. I am beyond grateful for my life partner, Sheila, who is the true anchor in my life and who has always believed in me, always encouraged me to be the best person I could be. One of my favorite quips is, in hindsight, it all makes sense. And you know what? It really does.
This is an excerpt from a story by Unitarian Universalist minister Lynn Gardner called Sustaining the Tree of Life. The tree stood in the middle of the village. Its trunk was so large that it took 6 people holding hands to reach around it. The roots were strong and wide, and its branches spread out over the village square, offering shelter from the rain or shade from the summer sun. Its fruit was juicy, sweet, and plentiful. The people of the village loved that tree. Children played beneath it and climbed in its lowest branches. Young people knew that if you whispered your dreams to the tree, they were more likely to come true. People who proclaimed their love or friendship for one another beneath its branches found their relationships to be nourishing. And elders discovered that their sweetest memories could be counted on when they were near the great tree. The tree had been witness to so much. And when the breezes blew through the leaves, one could hear echoes of generations. Laughter, conversations, dreams, prayers, and songs. By this tree, the villagers remembered who they were and who they wanted to become.
I've never been a big believer in astrology, unless of course it applies to me, in which case I am totally a Capricorn. For those unfamiliar with the supposed traits of those born between December 22nd and January 19th, Capricorns can be known as responsible, orderly, natural leaders. Those familiar with Capricorns may also call us know-it-alls, nitpicky, and, like our goat symbol, incredibly stubborn. Capricorn is considered to be an earth sign, which again is focused on being stable, practical, and firmly rooted, which are coincidentally my usual go-tos when asked to describe myself in job interviews. It wasn't until the last couple years that I started to reflect on what being firmly rooted actually meant and what it didn't mean. For nearly all my life, I've considered myself to be the very model of an earth sign. I was always responsible, dependable, meticulous, and extremely headstrong. I believed there was a right way to do things. I knew my way was the right way, and I did not like change. I was the mighty tree in the middle of the field, and I bowed to no wind. Unbending, unyielding, unbreaking. I thought my roots were as strong as an ancient oak. But when they were finally tested by the wild winds of instability, I realized they were as shallow as succulents. Over the last 10 years, I found myself emotionally distanced from my family. Deep friendships I'd maintained for years faded with time and distance. I worked in jobs I hated. I floundered maintaining healthy attachments with people, never having grown up with actual good examples. I stumbled upon life-changing family secrets that shattered my relationships with my parents, experienced a difficult pregnancy, and tried afterward to find a semblance of what people hysterically labeled balance. But I struggled. I had depression, anxiety, and I spent most of my time mindlessly scrolling on my phone in the evenings. The things I thought rooted me, family, friends, my career, my interests, were in fact the winds that were threatening to topple me. Me, the mighty oak, the so-called stable presence. There are two things that can help trees grow strong roots. Many of you who garden may already know this. The first is lengthy, deep watering. Shallow watering begets shallow roots. The second thing is, ironically, wind. When trees and plants grow in places with strong wind, they send their roots deep down into the ground to stabilize them. So I had a choice to make. Do I let the wind topple me, or do I sink my roots even deeper into the soil and hold myself steady? I'm sure you may have already guessed, but my decision was to utilize my true Capricorn grit, you'll never hear me call it stubbornness, and deepen my roots. What did that mean? It meant I had to give myself some deep watering. Deep watering meant trusting in professional help to manage my depression until I had developed the tools to achieve it on my own. It meant making the decision to improve my relationships beyond the shallow connections they had become. It meant setting aside time to dedicate to my passions, whether they were acting, writing, reading, or sewing. To me, deep watering of one's roots represents a conscious, deliberate choice to nourish one's soul. When I choose to put down my phone and get on the floor to play with my son, I am deeply watering. When I choose to turn off the TV and instead work on a project, I am deeply watering. When I choose to have a date night or visit my dad or give my friend a just because gift, I am choosing to deepen my roots. A couple years ago, my husband, Patrick, and I found ourselves in the back seat of an Uber in Asheville. The driver not only offered us substances we politely declined, but also gave us a piece of advice. Be the river. For a while, I thought that's what I had to be. But the truth is, I'm not the river. I'm a tree. Only now I bend with the winds of change and instability rather than fight against them. Because my foundation is deep and my roots are well watered. Thank you.
Hi, my name is David Flynn. My pronouns are he, him, and I, my wife Debbie Rubenstein, and our children Samantha and Rachel have been members of this community for almost 15 years. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. This couplet in the popular UU hymn Spirit of Life has always struck me as contradictory. How is it possible to be both held close and set free at the same time? Doesn't this speak to an inherent tension and struggle in our desires, one to be bound to our foundation and the other to fly free out into the universe? At least, that is how these lyrics strike me, but perhaps that is because I have always been resistant to the idea of being bound too tightly by my roots. My bias has been toward leaping forth on the wings of change to leave home and harbor far behind, and I tend to view a rooted existence as one of constraint. The desire for adventure and change has taken many forms for me, whether living and working abroad, exploring new places, both local and distant, or finding ways to fill my work life with constant change. I rarely stay closely connected to one space for too long. When people pass out of my life, I am grateful for the time I've had with them and also ready to move on to the next set of relationships, the next place, the next adventure. For instance, I've never wanted the deli owner to know my breakfast order the minute I walk through the door in the morning, and I've certainly never wanted everyone to shout out my name in greeting when I walk into a bar. But as it turns out, roots do matter, and I think that I have eventually come to reconcile the contradiction inherent in my hearing of the lyrics of Spirit of Life. Shortly after college, despite living in New York City, one of the most metropolitan and dynamic cities in the world, I chafed at staying someplace that I knew and longed to venture out to a foreign land. So, after graduation, I got a work permit and bought a round-trip ticket to Ireland with an open-ended return date. I acquired a Fodor's guidebook and packed a bag with a bunch of clothes, a book of poetry by William Butler Yeats, and, incongruously in hindsight, a good, sharp kitchen knife. This was in the days before TSA restrictions. I remember feeling a sense of exhilaration mixed with anxiety on my bus ride into Dublin from the airport. Here I was in this distant place on my own adventure into the unknown, and I had no idea where I was going to stay, who I could trust, or how I would get a job before my savings ran out. I spent the first 2 weeks staying in youth hostels, not talking to anyone, lest I give away too much information about myself, and keeping a guarded watch on the oversized duffel bag with the absurdly small luggage lock that held my worldly possessions, all while looking for a job and a more permanent place to stay. It was only when I connected with someone, a Maltese guy with whom I ended up sharing a house for most of my year in Ireland, that I realized how desperately I had missed a human connection. It turns out that setting out on my own and being alone were not quite the same thing, and while I may have rejoiced to sail on strange waters, I still needed a few channel buoys and lighthouses along the way to help me keep my bearings. I like this metaphor best, I think, that of a ship cresting the star-dusted seas of life, navigating by the points of life in the heavens above and on shores near and far. Over the years, there have been other people who have connected me to my source. My birth family, as well as my wife Debbie and my children, are chief among them, along with a few key friends, partners, and acquaintances I have met along the way. And I've been able to venture further at sea with them as the beacons on my journey across uncharted waters. These people, these ties back to my safe harbors, help me to keep sight of where I have come from so that I can venture safely into the unknown. Thank you.
I invite you into a time of meditation now. Close your eyes. You might put your hands on your belly and breathe deeply. Feel your belly expand as you breathe in and contract as you breathe out. Let your shoulders relax. Take in the sounds around you. Rest. breathe, as I offer you these words adapted from Reverend Lynn Cox. Spirit of life, ground of our being, root of unified mystery, growing into myriad branches of expression, bring us together now. Bring us close to the earth, ear to the whispering grass, quietly, attentively, waiting with slow breaths, listening for the very stones to cry out with their rocky stories, their mineral memories of Hadean days, once flowing and joining their ancient legends of stars born out of the collapse of other stars. Help us to remember. Help us to piece together our oneness with matter, our oneness that matters. May we rise, star stuff, moving across the surface of an impossible blue-green planet. May we find wholeness within, without, among, between. Eternal source, seed of the universe, help us to grow peace. Blessed be. Amen.
Good morning. I'm Alex Creech, a member of this congregation. My family and I have been attending for around 4 years now, and I currently serve on the Adult Religious Education and Spiritual Development team. I want to extend a special welcome to our guests, those of you joining us for the first time. There are a number of ways to connect with the life of this community, and I encourage you to head to our website where you can explore our calendar of events and subscribe to our weekly e-newsletter, Currents, which will tell you more about what we have to offer. You can also reach out to our membership coordinator, Kelly Green, to learn more about us, or if you'd like a conversation with one of our ministers. Her email is Kelly, Kelly, at uuccharlotte.org. Thank you for being with us this morning, and again, welcome.
This week, the news from around the world was so heavy. It's been impossible to not carry that heaviness with us, to be haunted by the images and the words we've taken in this week. And we hold in our prayers many. The people of Afghanistan in their desperation and growing despair, as they protest in the street, as they attempt to flee their home, as they experience violence and fear and chaos and broken promises. We hold in our prayers the people of Haiti in their desperation and overwhelm in the wake of yet another staggering natural disaster, and the painful struggle to find, rescue, heal, and shelter their people while so many are in need. We hold the people of our world, of our own country, in prayer as COVID cases, hospitalizations, and deaths continue to rise. When we experience even distant waves of pain and sorrow from far away or nearby, when we feel another's pain, it is yet another reminder that we are human, too inextricably connected to one another to not feel pain when another human being is suffering. Back out into the web of life, we send our love as best we can. Here in our community and congregation, we're sending love to our students and school staff as they return to school in such a time of uncertainty and face such challenges. We send our love to those with loved ones in Afghanistan and in Haiti, to those who serve or have served in our military, to those who work in our healthcare system. We send our love. And let us hold in our communal prayers specific struggle and specific celebration of those in our own congregation. We send love to John and Mary Lee as John recovers from a health crisis. We hold in our hearts Don Nias and Paul Cuny as Don continues to face health challenges. Today we are celebrating with Jan and Patrick McNeely upon the birth of their granddaughter, Winnie. Whatever particular joy, sorrow, uncertainty, gratitude that you carry with you today, you do not carry it alone. May you feel held by the love of this community.
As all plants depend on a root system for them to grow and flourish, our religious community depends on the generosity and selfless giving of its members to also grow and flourish. We will now receive the offering.
As we end our time together, take with you into your week ahead not only our closing music, but these words adapted from Unitarian Universalist minister Kathleen McTeague. Into this home we bring our hunger for awakening. We bring compassionate hearts and a will toward justice. Into this home we bring the courage to move on after hard losses. Into this home we bring our joy and gratitude for ordinary blessings. By our gathering, we are blessed. Be well and reach out when you need us.